everybody. This is Fork It, Fix It, Ship It, an interactive, heavy on the interactive developer's guide to open source software. We are from the GID Exchange Committee, and we'll get to the intros in just a minute. But first, we want to highlight the GDevCon and all their events in 2026. If you're local to the US, there's still time to get in on GDevCon NA, happening in Chicago in July. And then all of the others that are there as well.
I think if you follow that QR code, it will take you to the GDevCon NA one, given that we're in North America.
So today we're gonna, give some quick introductions. We'll talk about some assumptions, things that we know, that we assume that you know, or things that we won't be covering, just so that everybody's on the same page. Jump into examples, so we'll be doing examples at the same time as interspersed with some additional information. And then if we have time, some additional topics, we'll go from there. So my name is Erich Schlieper. I'm a member of the GID Exchange Committee, LabVIEW champion, CTD, CLD, and then the Chief Solutions Architect at Choose Movement Consulting, a gold partner.
My name is Casey May. I'm also a GID Exchange Committee member. Let's see, can I use this too?
Oh yeah, page down.
I'm a LabVIEW champion. I'm a CLA, CLED. I'm one of the co-founders of Zaya Solutions, which is a small LabVIEW consulting company based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm also one of the founding members of the Active Framework Guild. So if you guys want to talk about that later, happy to do that as well. But today, why did that go there? Yeah. So first off, what is the GID Exchange, right? We said we're GID Exchange Committee members. The GID Exchange is a group of LabVIEW developers whose focus is really on helping the LabVIEW community grow, and mainly doing that through promotion and collaboration around open source software toolkits. So, some ways that you can help. That sounds interesting. I want to help the LabVIEW community grow. How can I do that, right? Well, you can share some ideas for toolkits and add-ons to LabVIEW. There is a forum page for the GID Exchange on the NI forums, the link right there. It should be noted this is different from the LabVIEW ID Exchange. Maybe some of you have heard about that. And those ideas are more reserved for things that we are not capable of doing. So if there's internal code that R&D needs to touch, changes to the IDE that are intrinsic to the native code, we can't help with that. But where the GID Exchange can help is plugins, tools that get added on after the fact. Anything written in G, basically, written in LabVIEW. So if you have ideas for that R&D is not going to prioritize those sorts of projects. They leave it to the community. And so that's where those ideas would go. You go there, same idea, you can post an idea, see if it gets a lot of upvotes, if it attracts a lot of attention, then we're happy to help you get started with that. Another way that you can help is same idea, talk about any ideas that you might have on the LabVIEW Discord. If you guys saw the Challenge of the Champions thing yesterday, we will say that the LabVIEW Discord is the most popular way currently to communicate with other LabVIEW developers.
How many people are on the LabVIEW Discord in the room?
How many people knew a LabVIEW Discord existed? Yeah.
The bottom link is to the Discord if you want to join.
Yeah. So we're both on the Discord, as are some of the people here you saw. Everyone there is very friendly. So if you have ideas, you want to talk about it, maybe it already exists, and that's great. Or maybe it doesn't exist, and we can start talking about ways that we can collaborate on it. So ways that we help, like I said, we can help manage or own open source repositories if that's not something you're comfortable with or don't want to do for some reason. The GID Exchange, as a part of gCentral, can own that if that would be helpful. Also, occasionally we host mob programming sessions, which is when we get people together to work on some of the projects that we talked about. We've worked on the top level launcher, which is a shortcut to launch the application that you use most in a project. So for example, if you have a launcher for your system, you're working on code and you want to launch it real quickly, see if it works. That's a toolkit that we've worked on that helps you accomplish that. Yeah.
How large has your mob sessions gone, from just 3 people to how many?
What's the most we've had? They haven't been too big. I mean, we've had small ones. I'd say maybe.
I think the biggest one that we had was probably 6 people.
Not including the GID exchange, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's always a few of us there.
Yeah.
So.
You felt that went easily or even better because there were more people?
I've always thought I've gotten a lot out of them. I think just in general, mob programming, you get to see how other people work, learn new things from that. It's another reason to contribute. It's not just purely selfless. You can learn some things yourself too.
Yeah, Darren even showed up to one, and we all learned some stuff from that. Of course, nobody wanted to tell him what to do, but that. Thank you.
Okay, so some quick assumptions on things that we are assuming that you know before we get started here. One is a basic knowledge of Git. So Git's probably the most popular source code control mechanism out there. So we're assuming that you have some basic knowledge of that, how to clone a repo, how to commit code to a repo, and also how to then, once you have made those commits, push it back to the remote so that it can be shared amongst other developers or just on other systems. So as you saw before, when you came in, there's that QR code up there. This is an interactive demo again. So at some point very soon, we will be doing stuff. And if you want to follow along on your computer or phone, you'd probably have a more enjoyable time than just sitting us and listening to us yammer. So some things we won't cover though, and that's Git clients. We're going to be using a graphical Git client though, but I mean, some people are more comfortable with the command line. You might use source tree, you might use Git Kraken, fork. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this presentation, just as long as you know how to do those basic things that I talked about. We're also not going to talk about creating a repository from scratch. Like I said, if that's something that you're interested in, the GID exchange can help you with that. So again, we're trying to lower the barriers to entry here, so don't be intimidated.
And we'll stick around afterwards too, if you have questions or want to talk about that.
Yeah. Another thing we're not going to cover is once you've done those pushes and commits, is the building and deploying of the toolkit, whatever you've committed to. We're mainly focused on how you can contribute to a toolkit or an open source project that already exists. So there's a few more steps if you want to do your own or spin up your own. It's not too bad, but for this presentation, we're focused on one that you can contribute to that's already out in the wild. And then the last thing is there are some additional requirements. How many people are aware of the open source initiative within NI and LabVIEW? Right, so there are certain parts of the LabVIEW environment that are being open sourced. The icon editor is one, Actor Framework itself is another. So that they are accepting contributions and do a lot of the similar stuff here, but there are some additional requirements because that goes into a product that ships, that people pay money for, that has to pass security validations, all that sort of thing. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty there. We can help guide you in some of that if that's something that you're interested in after the fact, but we're going to be talking about the easy stuff just on the web, free to use, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so maybe you're thinking, why bother? Why I can just use these products, right? I don't need to contribute. And that's true. I did that for a long time. I was a long time lurker. But eventually I felt like, hey, I'd like to give something back to the community. And maybe I have some ideas on some of the toolkits that I use often. So that brings me to the second point, make things better. Maybe you notice a bug in something a toolkit that you're working with, or there's a feature that you really wish it had, but you're not seeing updates from the original developer anymore. If you contribute to these things, you can put your real contributions into a product that other people will see and might be useful to them as well. I sort of mentioned this before, through mob programming, we're just investigating different techniques. You might learn a few things. A lot of the toolkits that we've worked on so far to make use of scripting, which a lot of people are not super familiar with, but is very powerful. So you can learn some things that way. And also just doing so Other people see you doing that, other people get inspired, and it just kind of compounds is the hope, right? And so we build a better LabVIEW community, strengthen it that way. So, okay, I've sold you on yes, I do want to contribute. What are some ways that you can discover projects if you don't have one in mind already, right? If you're not already aware, vipm.io is a website where you can go and it lists a lot of public VI packages that are available to download and install through VIPM, which ships with LabVIEW. That's a very good way to discover that. A lot of them will have links on their homepage to the repository, so you can go in there and start making contributions. The LabVIEW Wiki, which is a website that's maintained by the community. There's a page in there for open source code, so you can go look at that. Maybe some of those look interesting to you. You can just search LabVIEW on GitHub or GitLab, and if the name of that project, or I don't know exactly what it searches, if it's just a title or if it's a description or anything, but I mean, you will find LabVIEW projects that are open sourced on both of those hosted sites. Again, the LabVIEW Discord server, we mentioned it before, but if you're talking about ideas there, or people are mentioning something like, what is this? So it's a way to discover projects as well. You can ask if anybody wants or needs help there. So, all right, now you have a project you want to contribute, so what next?
So you've got your project, you found a place that you want to contribute, or you've got your, well, in this case, a place that you want to help contribute, add some code. Things that you should do, right? You should absolutely go get to know the project, right? So read the README, review any open issues, right? So in the repo, there's often a bug tracking or feature request. So just go look at those. See what's there, see what is of interest to you. And then if you have ideas, right? Or if the reason you came there was to request a feature, like absolutely put that in as a request. And then reach out to the project owner, right? You want to reach out, introduce yourself, because sometimes people are open to other people contributing and sometimes they're not, right? So if you reach out, right, it's a polite way to engage with somebody, make a friend at the very least. The QR code is to a project that we created that is, we called it LabVIEW First Contributions after a first contributions project that I found on GitHub. Since we wanted to be able to help out and maybe be less intimidating to just be around LabVIEW developers, that's what we decided to go with. So if you haven't already scanned and gone there, please do so, because this is where the interactive part of this starts. You guys will be following along, doing the same thing, and at the end, hopefully you get a chance to maybe see, at the least, maybe not at the end of the presentation, but at some point very soon, we'll incorporate your contribution.
Please keep it family friendly so Kevin doesn't have to edit it out later.
Exactly. So the first thing we're going to do, you're going to need to do is fork the repo. So what is forking? It creates your own copy of a project or repository, so it becomes into your own namespace under your username in GitHub. Right? It is going to be separate from the source repository, right? And so this is the kind of workflow that is common, and so we're going to kind of help you get comfortable with that. And then it becomes your remote repository that you will be committing code to, whether from directly from the repo in the way that we're gonna the way the demo works, or if you download it and make changes on your computer and then push it up, that will become your remote repository.
Yeah, another thing, this is important, that you generally are not working directly on the repository of the project that you're working on. It may be public to discover, but it's very rare and probably undesirable to actually push code directly to the repository, because then anybody could do it. They could introduce malicious code or a bug or anything like that. So this is the way of separating the development on the project so that the code, before it goes back into the release product, to what will be the release product, can be vetted and reviewed.
Exactly. Everybody had a chance to scan the QR code and get where they need to go? Because
Anybody need more time? Okay.
all right. Because now we are going to start the demo.
Why is that still up there?
Oh, there we go.
Let's make this big.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do is fork the repo. You, on your phone or computer or whatever you're using, you should be able to find up in the right-hand corner, there's a little icon and the words fork. Your phone might just show you the icon. You're going to want to click on that. And then you'll get to the create page. It should show you as the owner of the fork. You can change the name if you want, but you don't have to. I am most likely gonna always just let it be the repository name. And then so depending on the product or the project, you may or may not want to copy the main branch only, right? It kind of depends. If there's already a branch that you're gonna wanna work on, then you just pull the whole thing down. I would say look at the README of the file and see what the developer recommends when it comes to doing that.
For this example, we only have the one branch, so
Right.
we're not worried about that. Again, very simplistic example. So yeah, this is the G Central LabVIEW first contributions repo, which I'm going to fork into my own, I guess, workspace namespace, KCZS here. So. Yeah, so now you can see up in the corner there, it says Casey rather than G Central. So now we know I'm in my fork.
He is in his fork. So now that you've forked the repo, what should you do, right? So normally you'll want to do any setup of the development environment, right? So that's oftentimes what's going to be in the repo, right? If you need to have a particular third-party toolkit, if there's a particular version of LabVIEW, right? Those are all things that the README should guide you through how you should set up your development environment so that you can start to contribute, right? Then you'll probably want to create a bug or feature branch, depending on what you're going to participate in, so that you can, so that you're not working in that main branch to avoid some problems or avoid having things show up when you don't expect them. And
We
then
can talk more about that later.
yeah, we're going to go do all those things later here. This is just the context around what we're going to do. And then, you program away. Then once you're done programming, you're going to commit and push your code back to the remote repository. And then it'll be good to go. So let's make some changes. So first, we're going to create a branch. So there's a little branch icon up there. You can click on that guy. And then click in the upper right-hand corner. It says New Branch.
Is this visible, or do I need to make it bigger? I can make it bigger.
It's better. You can click New Branch. Now you give it a name, right? Something easy and descriptive of what you're doing. I know online there's a lot of different conventions that you can use for how to do it, but this, you can just say adding my name, adding Casey, adding whatever. And then click the Create New Branch. And now you should see both branches. So then you want to...
And again, if you're more comfortable doing this in your own Git client, you can do that as well through the command line or graphical thing, but we're doing it through the web.
Right. All right, so now you've got both branches. So if you click on the branch that you just created, it should show you so that now it should be clear that you're working in that branch and ready to go. So now So now we want you to go find the contributors.md file. So you click on that, and that should take you to a page that looks like this that says, all right, we've got some test additions in here already.
I did not delete myself.
You just have to add yourself or add Dan.
Yeah.
There's 3 tabs up at the top, right? Preview, code, and blame. You can click on the code, and that will just show you the details, because this is a markdown file. So that the preview was what it looks like. This is what is behind it. So this
is where in a LabVIEW project you'd be working in LabVIEW at this point and modifying the code. We're using the example of a text file, which we can do through the web browser.
Exactly. So if you go in the upper right-hand corner, the little pencil, is the edit. You should be able to click that so you can edit the file. And then you just go ahead and add your name. Casey's going to just change the one that's there. And then I think if you scroll up.
Are we going, does everybody have enough time to do this? Does anybody need more time?
I have time, but it says open with GitHub dev on the phone.
Yeah, so that would be just in the GitHub. I think it should be in the environment. If it tries to take you somewhere else on the phone, actually, let me.
I found the edit button showed up much better. I just rotated it forward onto the.
That's what. Okay, got it.
When you did what?
Yeah, there was a.
I had to rotate forward, so I need to get it back.
Yeah, in here there's a little white rectangle with 3 dots is how you get into that.
Now it's working. Thank you.
Perfect. No, thanks for asking, making sure that we're being clear. Oh, come on. Perfect. So then add yourself. I would suggest making an enter, adding yourself, on a clean, fresh line. There you go.
Yeah, so I just added myself, I reverted back to essentially what it was before, and I added myself, my full name afterwards. Everyone good?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So now you should be able to, if you scroll up, did you do the commit? So there's in the upper right-hand corner, you see the commit changes, right? So that's how you're going to get your change committed to your repo so that you can make changes. So click on that. And so you'll need to add a commit message. The more descriptive those are, the better. And then if you have an extended description, right? So if you were in a LabVIEW project and you made a bunch of things or added a couple of features or something, depending on how you work, the more detail in here, right? As consultants, this is how we make sure that we know what we did instead of just, changes or whatever, right? It's only more helpful. It's only helpful to your future self if you put useful things in there. So now you need to decide what you're gonna, how you're gonna commit. If you're gonna commit to your branch or a new branch, since we explicitly created this branch for us to make these edits, we can just commit to this branch. And so you click commit changes. And it should bring you back to the preview. You ought to be able to scroll down and see your change added. Is everybody able to do that? Kind of get.
It's probably worth mentioning also, we did not go through a push step because we're working directly in the repo.
Right.
If you're working on it locally on your computer, you would need to, in between the commit, push it back so that your change shows up in your repository on github.com.
Exactly. You want to do that. But if you were going to make a bunch of changes, you could all do them locally and just do one push at the end. But you have to push it in order to get it back to the remote, to your remote. All right. So now we've created our change. It's in our local. What do we need to do now? So now we're going to create the pull request, right? So let's talk about what a pull request is for a minute. A pull request is how you share your changes back to the source repository, right? Remember, we have two separate, right? There's the upstream repository, which is the G-Central repository, and then there's your repository, which is still a remote repository, but it is not the original or furthest upstream repository.
Yeah, the original does not know about any of the changes that we've made to this, because this is your own.
Right, and that's what the pull request is about informing and suggesting to the upstream repository that that it should maintain this code or it should add this code in.
Pull your code.
Right, just pull your code. In case you were wondering why it's not called a push request, it's because you want the owner to do the pulling and everything in, right? So it helps you document. So if there's multiple commits, right? If you did a whole bunch of things, multiple commits, it's going to help you document all those changes so that will be part of the review that the upstream owner can do to review the changes. And then once that's completed, it will help roll out your changes to all the other developers once it's been accepted. All right, so let's make a change request change request. So first, we need to go to pull requests. And then at the top, so right now it's saying we compare what's in the upstream repo and create a pull request. So I think you can hit the compare and pull request.
That button appears on mobile also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so very important, right? So at the top here, it is telling you exactly what it's going to do, okay? So our base repository is the upstream, it's the G-Central, LabVIEW first contributions, and it's going to go into the main, right? It's going to go into the main branch. And you see there's an arrow there, right, to help you make sure that you know which direction things are going, right? And then it's the head repository of your repo. So KCZS, first LabVIEW contributions, and the adding myself branch, right? That is what is going to be, what he's suggesting should be pulled into main. So now is where you want to add a description, right? So if this is where, if you're working on a feature request or a bug fix, right? You want to list that here, make it very clear what you're hoping to accomplish with this or what you've done, include testing or whatever, anything that you think would be helpful to the upstream owner in making a decision about whether or not to pull your changes into the repo.
If you were working with LabVIEW, you can also, I think, paste images into here because it's hard to diff in the website, the binary files that are VIs, right? So sometimes it's helpful to post before and after screenshots to help with that.
And in some of the more recent versions of LabVIEW, I think they added the ability to create screenshots from the LabVIEW compare. So once you've done that, you've added your description, you can click on the create pull request. And then it goes and does some things. And now it says, if you scroll up just a tad, so you can see the name of the pull request, add Casey May to contributors list. It's number 7, right? So there have been other pull requests before this. It's an open, right? So that means that the upstream owner has yet to see it and do anything about it. And then it just shows you the rest of the information about it. So this is where the interaction part is going to come to the end, because now what we're going to do is we're going to flip over and we're going to see what it looks like at the top level from the owner's perspective. Okay. Before we do that, are there any questions? Has anybody had any troubles? Anything that we need to address? Or?
Just remind me why when we make the pull request, it's from the feature branch into the G central main instead of merging back into main on your repository before you make the pull request.
That's a good question. So the reason you would do that is because if you're keeping your main up to date with the upstream, then you won't confuse the issue by knowing whether or not the upstream owner has accepted your changes or other changes from anybody else for that matter, right? Because you can, if you go and go switch to your main branch, you could do a pull or a synchronization, and it will pull from the upstream branch or the upstream repo, the main, so that you would see what's in there, right? So then you would have to, figure out ways, which gets a little more complicated. We won't kind of go into that, but
Adding a little bit to that, the original repository, there's nothing saying that it can't be getting updates to main other than your changes, right? And if it's doing that at the same time and you're modifying your copy of main and you try to merge it back, now you have weird conflicts, right? Your commit history on the original repo and your history are no longer the same. And so there are some ways to get around that, but none of it's fun or anything. So it's a lot cleaner just to keep your own branch that is not going to be touched because the original repository doesn't even have that branch. And then when you do a pull request, that's when it goes back into main. And we'll kind of see in a little bit here what happens after the pull request is accepted, how that you see that the main branch on the original repository, how those changes are reflected even on your own, or you get a notification at least on your own system.
all right. So let's go look at the pull requests.
I got to refresh, I think.
Look at that. There are 7 open. Man, we got contributions.
Which one should I do?
Your choice. Driver's choice.
Okay, let's see. Let's pick Tyler's.
Oh man.
Nice.
This might be good, what happens when you have a pull request you don't want to accept,
Exactly. No, so now we can see, this is what looks very similar to what Tyler would have seen on his laptop or a phone and how he created it. So
Yeah, I guess I didn't mention what we're looking at now. Maybe we did mention it. I'm logged in as the GID Exchange user here, as the owner of the repository now. So that's why it looks different.
yeah, it's definitely as the owner, and so now we're going to look through it. So right now, right, because Tyler's is going to be the first one, we're looking at it. It says no conflicts with the base branch. So if we click on the merge pull request, right? So we're going to go through, and you want to look at the commits. There's just the one commit. We could see what's in there, right? If we wanted to. Nice. So it'll show us what changed. We can this is where you do, as the owner, you do your due diligence to see if, test the changes, look at them, do any testing of the changes, right? See what the person making the change was doing, right? So then at this point,
So I guess we go back to
Yeah, you can go to the conversation. And so now we've gone and we've checked and looked at everything. So now we can do the merge pull request. And we can make any changes to the documentation if we wanted.
I'm just gonna leave it.
I don't think we will. Yep, that's a good. So then you can confirm merge.
Again, this is beyond the point where, as a contributor, you don't necessarily have to worry about this. But we're just showing you what happens and what it looks like when your changes are accepted.
But now that we have accepted those changes, right, you could go into the main branch of your repos and pull, and you could do a synchronization.
If I go back here, here it says, you can see that the pull request is now merged. It used to be open, it was merged. And now if I go back, actually, if we go back, let's look at the main branch now. If we're on the main branch and we look at the contributors markdown file, it has the addition that Tyler contributed here. So now if we go back to here, go back to code, I believe
You should be able to.
do I need to refresh this?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Wait.
I
need to be. Why am I in this one? So it's not saying there's any update because I'm still in the G Central repository. If I go back to here.
All right, so now you see, right? There's the contribute. It says it's the main branch. It's 2 commits behind, right? So we can do the contribute, right? But we're not going to do that. But we're going to click on the sync fork.
Before you do that, I want to.
Okay.
Calling audible here. I want to check something.
We got time.
Yeah. I think if you go and look at the pull requests now, you still see these. Does it say that there's a conflict now? What does it say? I was expecting it to think that there was a conflict because I've changed that file.
So you sync, right?
This is
That's your local.
this is the
This is the.
Oh, you're right.
Could there not be a conflict based on where we added our?
It might just know how to merge it without, because it's just text, so it might be okay.
I think it's more than with text, like
Yeah.
text files and MPs.
With LabVIEW, you would definitely see a conflict if you modify. All right, so I'll sync it now.
There you go. Sync it.
So right now, the main thing doesn't have that addition that was on the original repo. If I sync it now, so that my main. So now my main is synchronized with the other remote main, and if we go back in here, you can see this contribution it's back in here.
Perfect. And now, so now I think if normally, right, you wouldn't necessarily have a room full of people all trying to do commits on the same file at the same time. That is just, asking for pandemonium. Because if you go back to the G Central account and go to pull requests, and if we go look at another one,
I'll add mine now.
I think if you scroll down,
Yeah, that's sure what we're saying. Let's try it.
Let's try it. When we did our walkthrough, it showed problems, but maybe we got lucky. It may have been that Tyler added it at the top and Casey added at the bottom, because if everybody added at the bottom, then there would be a whole bunch of you all tried to edit the same line, so then we'd have to merge some.
So I merged it. Let's see, just verify that the contributors. Let's see what it did. Actually, yeah. So they're both there. It knew how to merge it without conflict. So it said, okay, that's fine. But now I wonder if I go to pull requests, still doesn't think there's any conflicts yet. It's happy. Oh,
there we go.
There we go.
Erich.
Yeah.
So only because we did Casey's first.
Yeah.
So then the owner, right? So this is where you might get into a dialogue if there's conflicts and the upstream owner's like, hey, like somebody else, we accepted some changes, right? So that it might be, in LabVIEW, it's going to be more tricky because of the binary nature. Anything that's text documentation, like it might be easier. But all in all, right, this just means that it's the upstream developer's problem, but they still might have questions, right? And so then we can add comments or kill it, right? And those things should show up back on Erich's. If he got back on his phone and looked at it, he would see some comments and then could address those, right? So he could, I'll go make a change somewhere else and do that, and then go through the whole.
Yeah, so I don't have access to Erich's repo, but he would, if he went in on and looked at it, he would see that his main branch is behind, so he'd have to resync it, and at that point he would see there's a conflict between his feature branch and main. He would have to do something to reconcile that. Yeah,
and then it gets, there's a lot of different things that we could go on into, but
kind of beyond the scope.
Right, beyond the scope, but really, this was just a hope to help get you comfortable, right? Just doing a thing that you would need to do to contribute to an open source project, so that we can, so that you can be giving back to the community that hopefully you have received so much from in the form of using other plugins and code that other people have generated. So yeah, we got about 15 minutes. So any questions? Wait a second. Kevin's gonna. Eric's got them.
So what ended up happening is I had created a branch from main, and I named that feature branch. But then main was updated. How do I get my feature branch to use the new main instead of having to go back, resync main, and then update my feature branch?
So that's a bit. So that's a little bit beyond the scope, but we can address it, right? Because what you'd have to do is you'd have to merge your main into your current branch, right? So you'd have to, jump through those hoops, right? And then you could make the change. So it might be like, maybe the upstream owner will say, well, let me kill this pull request. And you might be able to do it as well. You can say, okay, we'll get rid of the pull request, merge the changes that were there, make my new change, commit, and then create another pull request to send it up, right? So there are other ways that could likely happen, but that's one way that you could do it and have everything be hunky-dory.
I think that's the most common too. You would sync your main branch, merge your now local main branch into your feature branch, resolve any conflicts, then resubmit the pull request.
Awesome, thanks.
I think there was another question too.
So just a couple clarifying questions because I'm pretty new to using some of this like more open source aspects of Git. So I understand that the purpose of creating a fork repo is you want to work directly within the main repo. But then what is the benefit of creating a branch from your own fork to add any adjustments to features?
Yeah, so that kind of is related to the question that Erich was asking earlier. If you're doing stuff directly in main, right, there's nothing guaranteeing that the original repo's main is not also changing at the same time. So then if you're making changes in main and you do a pull request saying, hey, pull my changes back into main, suddenly your mains could look very different, even beyond the stuff that you changed. And so that can lead to conflicts, and that makes things. But by adding a feature branch, if there is a conflict, you can do what we just talked about. Sync your main branches, merge those changes back into your feature branch to make sure that changes that were made to main don't step on the changes you made, like your change is still okay, your feature is still okay, your bug fix is still okay, and validate that before you then say, it's okay, I'm confident it's ready to be pulled back into the original repo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's also really, most people would say that it's a best practice to create a branch, to do a thing so that you can you maintain your main, right? Because it gets into philosophy about it, right? But people would say your main branch should always be a working branch. It should never be broken. So you create your branch, you do all your work that could, do intermittent broken things, right? It could be a sprint, right? It could go on for a week or two. You're making changes, breaking things, fixing things, getting bugs, testing things out, being all ready, right? And then, if you weren't doing this whole contribution or having an upstream, you would just merge back into main, right? But in this case, right, you're saying, okay, now I'm going to merge into the upstream so that then you can get it back down. But really, it's about industry best practice is to create a branch. Now, I'm as guilty to avoid conflicts. I'm as guilty as the next guy that, when I'm working, oftentimes I'm the only developer working in a repo, and nobody's forked the repo, and none of that's ever going to happen. So I will, just check out and work in the main branch, but that's not the best practice.
Well, we're talking about open source repos where it's literally open for anyone that has internet access to discover it and potentially make contributions. So you can't make those assumptions that you can if you're just working on it purely on your own.
And another question I had was, using our same example, once we've created a fork and then a branch, and then did a pull request, assuming that the original main has not changed and there's no merge conflicts, once that pull request, if it's approved, does that automatically remove the branch from the fork?
That does it automatically on your, I don't think it does, no.
I think it can depend, right?
You'll see in yours that main has been updated and you need to synchronize, but your branch still exists and you would have to, if you wanted to, you don't have to, delete it yourself.
Like if you were using some graphical like source tree or whatever, there might be an option that you can say, delete the branch when I'm done committing. But
when it's merged, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not, nothing forces you to do that. And it was probably likely not an option as a part of what we were just doing because we were doing it in the web browser.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I guess more specifically in open source, do you typically attach a diff report to your pull request to make it easier for the reviewers?
Sorry, I didn't hear it all.
When you're basically doing the pull request for an open source, do you typically attach diff reports or anything like that so that the person who's trying to merge it back in is easier? They can just review that instead of running their own CI to build it?
It depends on the project. Yeah, you definitely could, and I think it's helpful if you can.
With LabVIEW, I definitely would, just because it's going to be easier. But that's only if you were using a version of LabVIEW that happened to have, yeah, you're using 26 that has the features for creating those diffs.
And I would say, hopefully, again, if the owner of the repository has a decent README, there are probably instructions on what they want you to do when it comes to making a pull request also, and what tests to run or how to, that sort of thing. So
I guess with that also, is there usually like a code owner's file in there or some other kind of static analysis or unit testing? Is that all typically in READMEs to help make sure you build that, to make sure the pull request is approved?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not entirely, it's going to be different for different repos, right? But
if it's to a repo that Sam Taggart owns, like there's going to be CI/CD, it's going to do all the testing, right? It's like all those things, right? If it's to something that I own, probably not, right? It's going to be, right? It kind of depends, and right, like, but that can be part of the learning process. If you know all that stuff, and they're like, oh, like I can help set some of that stuff up, and we kind of make the process better, right? Like, then everybody wins, right? So like, just want to reiterate, it's a collaborative process that that we want to be beneficial to everybody, right? Nobody wants to. I mean, if you're going to be an ogre, you shouldn't start an open source project. You still have a question?
Mine was if we weren't moving on to additional topics. So if you guys have other stuff you'd like to talk about.
No, we were just going to talk. That's right. This stuff is in the online download for the presentation, so you can look at the licensing. This was purely if we had extra time, so I'd rather take questions.
I was curious what open source repos you guys are looking at right now. If you guys have any projects that you would suggest looking into, or what are you guys looking at? I appreciate the etiquette, but do you have any ones that you would suggest that a LabVIEW developer should look at?
I mean, with the GID exchange, like I said, we released one as the GID exchange called the top level launcher, which I talked about a little bit before. I think there are issues on there. So you could go to vipm.io, search top level launcher. It will take you to the page. You can do it there if you wanted.
Might as well, you're there.
You got to use
Use the mouse.
disable the trackpad.
Okay.
So yeah, so there should be a link to the repository there, right? On project links, repository.
There we go.
You can make it bigger. Control, scroll. Now scroll. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there are 3 open issues it looks like right now. So that's a good thing to do. If a toolkit that you use, you can go check it out, see if there are open issues. That's something you might want to contribute to. That's one we've done together, right? Erich has contributed to it. I don't know if anyone else here has also. My company, Zaya Solutions, we do a lot of active framework stuff, and we have some toolkits that we've published there. Those are all open source as well. So if you want to improve those, I'm not going to say no to those. I might say no, but I would encourage contributions so we can have discussions around it. But.
I mean, there's just a lot of like OpenG, right? The OpenG toolkits. There's a lot of stuff there. If you use a lot of that, like, I would say go and talk to. Is it Jim? That kind of.
OpenG is pretty mature now too. I don't think there's a lot of changes being made, but I know.
But they did recently do an update because there was some.
They did, Rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's if there's things that you use, right? That's the other thing. One of the just go scrolling around vipm.io, right? Kind of what we were saying, like find toolkits that because sometimes it's like, oh, I got an idea for a thing. I should go look and see if it's already there because I can contribute to it. If something already exists and I just need to make some changes to make it what I need it to be or whatever, right? Because you can also, if it's open source, you can pull it, like you can fork it and just make changes, right? And just change it to be what you need it to be, right? But if you want to be a benefit to the community, right, then you're going to need to do this process to get it back.
I guess generally I'd just say you don't necessarily need to go, unless you really want to, go out and searching for projects just to contribute to, but look at what tools you're using already that are helpful to your workflow, and then maybe look at those and see, are they open sourced? Are they open to contributions? And are there issues that need to be addressed?
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? All right. I think 3:30. I think that's our time.
Yeah, just real quick, the slide that was up there, in addition to the README file, there's often a license file, which tells you how you can use the project. You can download the slides. There's some more information about that has other links that go to things. That's licensing is a topic, a whole other topic in and of itself. So I encourage you to look at that. A lot of the stuff on VIPM.io is pretty permissive. And that's the ones I would encourage you to start with also, if that's something you're going to contribute to, so you don't have to worry about some of the legal side of things. So.
Well, thank you for coming, everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.